Hey everybody, it's Brooke with The Buttered Home and welcome to My Messy Kitchen. We have a very special recipe for you today. It is our version of shrimp Creole casserole and it is good eating. It sure is. Now it is very similar to a brown rice casserole in the fact that we use brown rice for the base as well as we use sauteed mushrooms. But we add just a little bit of Cajun or Creole kick to it by using a little bit of Creole seasoning. We like to use this anytime we make things with seafood. Now this, like all of our other recipes, is one that can be easily modified to fit any protein, not just shrimp. You could simply replace the shrimp with chicken or with sliced beef or even ground turkey and it would be fabulous. And like all of our other recipes, if you did not want the spice of the Creole seasoning, you can always leave that out or substitute it with something that you really like. We love to show you that cooking can be built upon and it can be changed. You can take one recipe and turn it into 4 different things if you want to, and a casserole recipe is a great way to do that. So to fit with all of our other seafood recipes this month, we're doing shrimp Creole for you. And like most other casseroles, it starts out with a cream of base. In my bowl here, I have 1 can of cream of mushroom soup and I have 8 ounces of sour cream. So the very first thing that I always do is just mix those together. And then we're gonna add in our seasonings. And the seasonings are real simple. We just start with just a pinch of salt. And one thing that I did want to mention is that if you are watching your salt like we are, you can get the cream of soups with a lower sodium content, and those are fantastic. So we also want to add in just a little bit of pepper as well. And you can modify the salt and pepper to fit your taste. Now, in order to get the most out of the Creole seasoning, we like to add in about 2 teaspoons of that. And if I can get it open, then I'm gonna measure it out. And I don't think my measuring spoon's gonna fit, so it's not. So we're gonna carefully pour it in there and kind of err on the side of caution in case we have any spill out in there. So if you do this, I always like to just fill my measuring spoon up just a tad scant. That way, if you do have any pop out when you're mixing it in, or whenever you're pouring it in your measuring spoon, you don't over season, because that is a thing, especially when you're using something spicy like this Creole seasoning. So that is our cream base for this. So we're gonna set that aside. Now, one other thing, we use brown rice for this. I like to use quick brown rice because normally when I make a casserole, I like to do it pretty quick. Because casseroles in my mind are something that you wanna kind of just throw all together and pop in the oven and have it ready just in time for time to eat, or just in time to let it cool a little bit, wrap it up and take it and give it as a food gift. So if you are not a fan of quick brown rice, then we recommend that you cook traditional brown rice according to package directions, and that can take a little while with traditional brown rice. We also have our oven preheated to 350 degrees, so we are set to get started. Now the first thing I'm gonna do is we're going to saute our shrimp. And I have about maybe a teaspoon of canola oil in my pan here, and I'm just gonna let my pan get hot. And then I have a pound of peeled, tails off, deveined shrimp. Fresh is always best, and I chose the small variety for this because in a casserole, you want to get the most shrimp per bite, right? So the small shrimp tend to go a little farther in casserole and really kind of fill the casserole up. So we have a pound of those shrimp that we're gonna add to our hot pan, and we're gonna go overhead and show you how it's done right now. All right, so I'm hoping my pan is hot. Yeah. And whenever you cook shrimp, they cook really fast. So you'll notice they're kind of a gray, opaque color right now. And we're not gonna season these guys because our seasoning is already in our cream base, and this is gonna have some cook time in the oven. So you don't wanna over season like you would say with a soup. Let me just turn my heat down just a little bit. And then you'll notice after you put them in, they already kind of start to turn pink. Now, like I said, these guys are gonna get another 20-minute cook in the oven. And let me just take that one out. I think looked like he still had a tail on, so I took him out. Sometimes when you get shrimp that have had the tails removed, a few of them will still have the tails on. And like some of these, and that one may have been fine, but some of these look like they have the whole tail, and it just kind of threw me off. It looked like maybe it still had some of that cartilage or shell on there. But you only want to cook these guys just until they turn pink. So I'm gonna let them sit still for a minute. And then I have my brown rice that I have already cooked ahead of time. And we use about 1.5 cups of it uncooked, and then we cook it according to package directions. The quick brown rice, it cooks up pretty fast. You can do it with boiling water on the stove, or you can do it in a microwave. And literally, I think brown rice is the only thing that I cook in the microwave. My microwave doesn't get used very much. But we have a greased pan, and we're gonna take that, what was 1.5 cups of brown rice, which now is more like 3 cups. They usually doubles in size. And we're just gonna make a nice even bed in the bottom and just spread that out all nice and neat. And then I'm gonna check my shrimp because they look like they're done. So I'm gonna take them up, and you see they've turned a real pale, pretty peachy pink color. So you don't wanna cook them all the way. You wanna cook them just for about 2 or 3 minutes, just until they start to turn pink. While these shrimp are delicate, overcooking them will make them tough and not so great. So we always, whenever we're doing a double cook on things like shrimp, once in a pan and once in the oven, we kind of go on the side of almost done. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna add in 2 tablespoons of butter to the same pan and just melt it really quickly. And I like these, even though you kind of cook everything beforehand, you just kind of cook them long enough, a casserole like this, and long enough in the oven just until all the flavors kind of meld together. It's really, really a thing of beauty. So then we have some sliced white mushrooms, and this is an 8-ounce package, so I'm only gonna add in about half of this package. And while the mushrooms look bulky and like they're gonna take up a lot of room, they will actually cook down. So we're gonna saute them in that butter and those pan drippings from our oil and our shrimp. And again, we're not gonna salt these because all of our flavor is in the cream base. And these don't take very long either. You just want to get just a little bit of color on them, and until they start to wilt just a little bit. Again, we're just adding flavor and color here on the stove top. They're actually going to cook down a lot more in the oven. even just in 20 to 25 minutes. And one thing that I like to do just to be able to gauge how long, if they've cooked enough, is we're really only going to cook them until that butter and what's left of the oil is kind of absorbed. So once you see that most of the liquid has cooked out for this casserole, now if you were cooking these to have sauteed like on top of a steak, you might want to have a little more fat in there so that they could cook down and wilt completely. But for our purposes, we're just going to cook them long enough until most of that liquid is absorbed and they get a little brown. All right, so now to kind of just bring everything together, we're going to lower our heat to low. We're going to add our shrimp back in. And one jumped out and landed in the rice, but that's okay, we'll leave him there. And then we're going to heat those up. Then we're going to add our sauce in, which again is about 8 ounces of sour cream and 1 small 14-ounce can of cream of mushroom soup. And we're just going to kind of fold that in and get it mixed and just heat it through. Until it just kind of settles down. Then I'm actually going to turn my fire off because we've got it all mixed in nice and neat. Then I'm going to take my spatula and carefully grab my hot pan and take this and pour it over the rice, pan drippings and all. And then we're just going to spread that out over the top. And those mushrooms and that shrimp already look pretty. And then see what's going to happen whenever you cook it. That sauce is going to cook down into the rice and just be a wonderful flavor explosion for that rice. And now, because it is a casserole and we do live in the South, we're going to take about a cup of shredded cheddar and put that over the top. The cheddar, of course, adds a nice cheesiness, but it also kind of helps protect the shrimp. So whenever you see like a topping for any casserole, that also serves as a protective barrier. Now, I know that seems odd, but a lot of times when we put casseroles together like this, they tend to could burn really easily, especially if you're using a cracker meal top. Now we are going to tightly cover this with aluminum foil. Move it to a bigger space. And then this is going to go into our 350-degree oven for 20 to 25 minutes. Then we're going to carefully remove it and take this foil off and put it back in just so the top can brown a little bit for about 5 minutes. We're going to let it sit for about 5 minutes and cool, and then we're going to come back and we're going to serve it up and show you how beautiful it is. So we'll be right back. Hey everybody, we are back. We finished a 20-25 minute cook time in the oven. I took the casserole out and took the foil off and then put it back in the oven for about 5 minutes or so, just until the edges got kind of browned and it was bubbly and the cheese was all nice and melted. Now, a lot of times when you take that foil off, it looks ready. but if you can cook it just for 5 minutes or so uncovered, it really makes this nice almost crusty effect with the cheese. So we're going to shoot overhead now so you can see how gorgeous it is. But you'll notice you have just a little bit of crispy around the edges. You can see our shrimp are popped up in there and our beautiful mushrooms, and I'm going to dip some out so that, and we've let it cool. We let it stand for about 5 or 10 minutes. So we're gonna take it out and show you that brown rice is the perfect base, and you have that cream there that has actually just kind of almost cooked down into the rice, and the shrimp are perfect. Everything about this is just absolutely perfect. And that cheese, okay, we're gonna come back to me so you can see this cheese pool. So you've got just enough cheese on there to give you that nice texture of the creaminess added to the sauce, and everything combined. The mushrooms are cooked really well and the shrimp are not overdone. Everything about this just screams fancy little casserole, and this is something you can put together and give a fancy little casserole to the people that you love, or take to church on Sunday when y'all are having a church meeting, or just to have on a Tuesday night. This is also a great casserole that you can make ahead, and I like to take it, cook it fully, let it cool to room temperature, and then put some plastic wrap over it and kind of push it down in there so that it covers the top closely, and then wrap it in foil, and it freezes really well. So that this is a great make ahead, freeze ahead meal that you can have later. So we hope that you will try our creamy shrimp Creole recipe. The link to it will be in the show notes here on YouTube, and if you're watching us on Facebook or Instagram, you should be able to catch this recipe later in the week that we premiere this video. So as usual, all my folks on YouTube, if you haven't already, be sure that you hit that subscribe button. Gosh, I just have the most trouble saying that. Hit that subscribe button, and be sure that you hit the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we post new videos like this one. Also, be sure that you are following us on Facebook and Instagram so that you have access to all these great recipes and a lot of fun over there on those pages too. We like to cook live over there on most Monday nights, except when we're on vacation or have things come up, and we would sure love to have you join us in our messy kitchen live. So, Big D is hungry. He has worked hard this afternoon, and he deserves as much of this casserole as he wants. So we hope that you'll be here and join us every week for all of our great, wonderful Southern recipes, and we look forward to talking to you again. From the buttered home to your home, we love you. Bye.